Don't blink. It's your boy Ink. Welcome to the Welcome Show. Good to do. Also having a wonderful day on this 10th April 2025. Today we're talking about a subject that is a sensitive subject. You could even call it making myself vulnerable, because the subject of the video is being vulnerable. Before we start, let me flex a little bit. Uploading clips, filming tower, right? The tower. So we're doing good. We're busy, but we're doing good. So today we're talking about vulnerability, and there's a very specific reason as to it, right? Now, it's the economy right now is not bad, but with the old tariff of USA, a lot of people are worried. A lot of places might be closing, and the economic situation isn't perfect. So there's a lot of worry here, right? Now, my mom, right? My mom, and this is going to be a blueprint as to who I am. My mom is very helpful. My mom always have this desire to help. I cannot. My mom, if she want to help, I cannot tell her no. Because she'll insist to a point where we're actually gonna get into a fight because I don't accept her help, right? So what I do with my mom, and again, people will say, "Oh, you're trying to manipulate your own mother." I'm not trying to. With my mom, what I'm gonna try to do is, I know that she wants to help, so I'm gonna tell her, "Hey, you can help with this and this and this," and it's gonna be little things, but she still feel like she's helpful, right? Now, my father, they both had such a different ideology, if you will, to raise a child. Clip, let's work a little bit. My father was really hands off. I was born in the 90s. The 90s were fucking amazing. It was about discovering self and being on your own and kind of navigating through life, through it. The 90s were possibly the very first generation raised by TV, and that's insane to think about it. Because, like, right now we're seeing an influx in the number of mobile game there is, right? We're seeing a huge influx. In the 90s, people understood that, okay, well, there's a lot of money to be made by making kid shows. Because we got memorabilia, we got some gifts, we got some shows, we got some, for example, I'm talking about the success story per excellence. We're talking about something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Was super profitable because of the show, right? If it wasn't for the show, nobody would give a shit about Yu-Gi-Oh! And I mean disrespectfully, of course. So now, what ended up happening, which was kind of crazy cool, was length, okay? The whole social aspect to it changed. So my father was like, okay, well, guess what? I was raised that way, you'll be okay. And my father had it hard because he was the oldest kid of 6 siblings, and his father wasn't reliable. So even at a very young age, he would want that for me. And my father was a weird guy. He was like, "You're gonna be doing the same thing as I do," but I had the TV. He didn't. My father was a really weird guy in a sense of, there was a lot of instances where, how can I say that? There's a lot of instances where there could have been some consequences, or it could have been rougher, and he wasn't. So, he could have said, "Hey, do the chores, get chores," but he didn't give me chores, and I don't know why. Maybe he didn't believe in it. Maybe he had a childhood where the chores were too much for him. Like, I'm not gonna do that to my own son, but it wasn't the case. However, my father would also do things like, okay, well, you were bad, go into your room. But in my room, and this was something I never understood. I never understood. He would tell me, you've been a bad boy, go to your room. But in my room, you would have everything. You would have radio, you would have music. Well, radio music is the same thing, but you have books, right? I had anything and everything in my room. There was even a pantry with food. So if I was hungry, I could get a snack, So why did he send me to my room when I like it so much? Well, because for him, it was the perfect compromise. I was still being in a place where I was being taught a lesson, but it wasn't something that was too rough for a kid, right? And it was nice because there was a leniency. There was a leniency in the righteousness. There was a leniency in how strict he was. He was an asshole, but he wasn't that big of an asshole. As far as that, he wasn't an asshole, right? Growing up, I was afraid of him. He was an asshole, but as far as assholes go, he was a pretty soft one. That sounded so wrong, and I do apologize for the imagery. So, long story short, he's more of an end off, and lately he's been helping me a lot. And his way of helping is actually weird. He'll give me like a coffee thing, and say, "Hey, I got this for you." He'll give me some sausage from Costco because they're on special. They're not on special. Say, "Hey, I thought about you." And he's been helping me a lot. Now, technically speaking, right? I'm getting both my parents to help. Technically speaking, with you guys, when we do the weight loss, we're doing more live, and people are super generous. But I'm reliant on you guys. And yesterday we did a video, and this is kind of like a follow up. We did a video on being alone and the need to socialize, right? Well, when you don't have a need to socialize, when you're independent, right? When you're alone, the first thing that you learn is to be independent. When you're independent, the first thing you learn is to rely on yourself, right? So you're not used to like, not used. It's not kindness, but you're not used to being help, and it's a beautiful thing because you're not used to being help because people don't see you as needing help, right? And it's funny. I met a girl. That was almost a year ago. I met a girl, and we met in a life, in somebody else's life, and then she would come to my life, but then I had this guilt because I was like, yo, this guy, where we met, let's call him X. We met on X's stream. X's was streaming, and I'm like, dude, he's streaming. Why don't you go to his life, right? And I felt bad because he works so hard to get the view that he has. And I'm like, okay. And then she's like, yeah, but you're different. And I'm like, how am I different? You constantly need help. You don't need help. You get along with yourself. You get shit done on yourself. And that was a kind of pride for me, being independent. All of those nights where I was alone, and I don't know if, and I'm not saying that he did, but there was a sense of pride. My father knew that he could not necessarily manipulate me, but he could make me think at least that there's kind of pride to take care of yourself, right? And it was nice. It was such a beautiful thing because you would go to work a lot, and I would be on my own at home, and I would watch TV and eat snacks. It was great, but it was also like, I was permitted more when I was alone, but there was also a kind of a limit, right? Kind of a limit to how much I could get done or do, and it would say things like, "You took care of yourself, good job," which he didn't say a lot. So to me, it felt really special, right? But now, I don't know if they're helping me because they see me as being vulnerable. Now, being vulnerable, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I always feel bad about it. For example, tomorrow's my father's birthday. And they're going out to a restaurant. And my stepmom, she called me and she's like, "Yo, I'll pay for you. Just come, I'll pay for you." And although I'm super grateful for that, I'm like, I feel bad because I feel like I'm taking advantage of you. I'm so used to doing things on my own. I'm so used to not getting help. And when I do get help, it feels very disingenuous. When I do get help, it feels very like, dude, you don't need to do that, right? It is almost to a point where I don't acknowledge that I need help, right? And it's a classic case of, well, I didn't realize how hurt I was before I saw the wound. I didn't realize how fat I was until I was forced to climb the stairs, right? And you realize things, and you're like, okay, well, this is how you see me as somebody that needs help? Is this the way that everybody sees me? And again, there's nothing wrong with needing help, right? But there is something wrong with taking advantage of people. There is something wrong with constantly asking for help. And I don't, it's harder for me. So yes, it is this new reality right now where we're feeling vulnerable because people might possibly see us as vulnerable. And it's insane because this is all a construct. It's all a construct of the mind. It's all a construct of, well, if they see me like that, maybe I am, you know? And I don't think that's true. I don't think that this is something that's even remotely possible. Of course, there's instances of, well, you could have done better. Of course, there's instances of, well, could have done things differently. There's always going to be the instances of, you could have took another road, right? But in the end, you're here. And it's such a complicated context. I've always had this problem. When somebody does something nice for me, I feel the obligation to do something nice for them. So I stopped doing nice things for people, because I was like, I don't want you to feel obligated I don't want you to feel like you owe me something, because you don't. But then people would do it out of the kindness of their heart. Like, no, bro, I know I don't owe you anything. I'm just doing this because I want to. And I was like, wow, this is actually quite nice. It's actually quite kind, right? But at the same time, you're like, fuck, now you did something nice for me. I want to do something nice for you. So, did I stop recording? Please tell me. Yes, I am recording. Nice. So when somebody does something nice for me, I feel like, it's a weird thing, because do I think I need some help? No. Do I think I could get on my own just fine? Yes. But it's a complex thing, because some people do something nice for you, and then you feel that you should be doing something nice for them. You're not able to, because you don't have the means to help them, right? Or you're in a position where, compared to them, you're in a bad position. Good. Okay, that's good. Well, she's super kind. She just texted me, say, hey. I said I didn't, so she texted me and said, hey, I'll pay for you. Now, technically speaking, and I know this is super wrong and this is super mean, but she's my stepmom. We're not related, right? If my father did that, I wouldn't say anything. But for her, I'm like, I feel a bit, not necessarily uncomfortable, but not really comfortable with the situation, right? So it's weird to be vulnerable. And it's a nice thing. The possibly nicest thing about making content for 4 years and making content every single day for 4 years is, you guys know me, you guys see me, you guys know I'll react. So I don't think there's been a lot of cases where I needed some help. I don't think there was a lot of cases where I was being vulnerable. There was some cases, of course. I think if you spend 4 years and there's nothing wrong with you, then you're hiding shit, But at the same time, it's always a case of, we were down and we got back up. And now the truth is, I don't know how I'm gonna get back up. So I might not be vulnerable, and I may not be in a position where I'm in distress, or I'm in a position where I'm so worried about everything and anything, right? But I'm also in a position where I'm starting to feel like, okay, well, there's a couple of things that you could change, And it sucks. It sucks because nobody wants to admit that they need help, right? I'm seeing a person. I'm not gonna say who, because I don't want to throw her under the bus. But I'm seeing her, right? And it's actually quite a nice thing when talking about vulnerable. I didn't think about this before we made the video, but now I'm thinking about it. And she's always posting about how she doesn't like the way she looks. She doesn't like life. She's sad. She's anxious, right? And she's nice to me, so I felt bad for her. And I'm like, hey, how you doing? You doing okay? Are you feeling good? And she's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, and she put a video, and she was like, oh, I don't like the way I look. I told her, I think you look fine. I think you look amazing. And she was like, I don't agree. And then I saw it as she needs reassurance, right? Because I had exes like that. Now, just to be clear, there's no romantic interest towards this person, right? But it's also nuts because how can I put this into word? I was trying to, and I had to insist a little bit. And she kept on telling me, no. So after 4 or 5 comments I gave up. I'm like, fuck, if you don't want me to help you out, I'm not going to help you out, right? And then the very next day, she makes another video where she says, I don't like the way I look. And now I didn't comment because I'm like, dude, you're not gonna take the help. But maybe it wasn't about me trying to help her. Maybe it wasn't about what I was saying. Maybe it was about the fact that she didn't think that she needed help, or she didn't want to admit that she needed help. You know, that's completely different. That is completely different. Yeah, it's amazing. Life is amazing. Life, the perception of people being vulnerable, but also seeing people vulnerable, right? And then there's another question: are you helping people because you feel like you need to help yourself? Are you helping people in the hope they will help you back, or are you helping people because you cannot help yourself? And those three cases, you're in a position of, I don't know. That's a scary thing. That is a scary thing. That is exactly what is here about this. Anyway, love you guys. Take it easy. Peace.